Julie Cielo, somatic coach, trauma alchemist, and unapologetic cycle breaker. I've experienced family betrayal, walked through a marriage that no longer served me, and seen the wellness world for what it can be, both healing and toxic. I've lived the shadow work, danced with my demons, and come out the other side, not perfect, but free. And this is where I help you rewrite your past, claim your future, aligning your heart, mind, and gut on your own terms.
Whenever I was 24 years old, I had breast implants put in because my husband had asked me to get breast implants before our wedding. And I went to my mother and asked her what she thought about it. And she said, well, you want to keep your husband, don't you? Hi, guys. This is a story that I really wanted to tell you because I feel like it's one that whenever I've mentioned it to other people, people say, why aren't you talking about this more? So I opted into the first breast augmentation surgery I had in 1999. I'll preface by saying that whenever I was a young girl growing up in rural Pennsylvania, my stepfather had probably asked my mother to do the exact same thing, or she opted to do it herself because she was horribly insecure. And I remember as a young child, her squeezing green pus out of her nipples and wondering why she would ever put herself under the knife. And later, as I got older, I understood more about why she had made the decisions that she did a little bit more deeply as to what it's like to be a woman in the world. So she had one of the original Dow Corning sets put in, and apparently she had a rupture during a mammogram. And that visual as a child made me think, oh God, I would never do that. There I was walking the same footsteps as my mother, getting breast augmentation at 24 years old for a man. And immediately after the surgery, I remember feeling sort of out of body, and I was still healing from the surgery whenever I was in Jamaica getting married. And I remember suntanning with these breast implants, and my husband at the time being very pleased about it, which kind of disgusts me now to think about. But, it was a decision that I made on my own as an adult, but I certainly was influenced by the people that were around me at the time. I had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror for years after. And at 24, I didn't know how to say no. I didn't even know it was an option. I had internalized a deep belief that to be worthy, I had to be what someone else wanted, even if that meant altering my body, silencing my voice, and disappearing from my own life. I remember meeting a young woman on the beach in Florida who was a former stripper, and she made me feel a lot better about myself. And she was like, girl, you just need to rock it and let go of the shame that you have about the surgery. And I did. I started to let go of some of the shame. And, long story short is that these devices don't last forever. They last for about 10 years. A lot of women, I would say about 500,000 women in 2022 in the US got breast implants. So in 2015, I had something called an encapsulation, and I was speaking to my mother, and I called her and asked her what she thought I should do. She said, well, if you go to the plastic surgeon, he's just going to pop it. So why don't you just do it yourself? Stupid me, I took advice from this horrible, horrible person. I caused a hematoma, and I had to go under the knife pretty quickly because I was on my way to Bali to lead a yoga retreat. And I found myself there again in the plastic surgeon's office. I told him, I said, I think I just want to get them out. And he said, well, you're going to look like a monster if you do. I believe that he said that if I did such a thing. So he scared the shit out of me, frankly, convinced me to put even a larger set in 2015. When I woke up, he had told me that he found a bunch of calcified material in my breast that he was concerned might be cancer. He sent it off to the lab, and it came back, and sure enough, it was not cancer. So I went on with my life. And as I started approaching 50, I started thinking, this doesn't really feel in alignment with my values. And I just don't like living 26 years then with plastic in front of my heart. And the fact that, these devices do need to be replaced every 10 years. I started doing somatic therapy, and I felt like I really wanted to reclaim the part of my body that I had, what it felt to me like I had given a part of myself up on a silver platter to make someone else happy. So for my 50th birthday, I opted into explant surgery, which I know is very much trending right now. I interviewed a few more surgeons. I interviewed a Harvard-trained surgeon. He said, "Where do you live? And how old are you? And are you single?" And I said, "Yes, yes, yes." He said, "It might be wise to get a man before you have this surgery." And I sat on that for a couple of years. And as I approached 50, I said, fuck that. If a man is going to judge me based on whether or not I have breast implants or not, it's the same type of man that I divorced. My first husband was, a total misogynist. He just honestly was young and stupid to say such a thing. It influenced me so much as a codependent that I just reacted because I had a mother that wasn't a very good influence on me. So that surgeon scared me as well and really made me think about, am I ready to do this? So I sat on it for a couple years, and then I went and interviewed another plastic surgeon who wanted to do a pretty aggressive explant surgery that involved a massive cut, pretty much just opening me, like filleting me open. I felt like it was a little bit too aggressive. So I interviewed yet another surgeon who had the same explant surgery as an acquaintance of mine, and she looked great. I thought, sure, I'll go to him. He said, "I'm going to give you a couple options. The explant surgery, I can just reach in and get the breast implant and take it out, and that'll be it." He said, "But if you really want to have the entire capsule removed, it's going to cost you double." I had to sit with that question and say, how important is it to me to have all of this material removed from my breast? I wasn't necessarily thinking about so much what I was going to look like from having the explant surgery. I was thinking about how my mental state was going to be affected afterwards. Like, am I going to continue to be concerned that there is this toxic material potentially left? These were things that concerned me as I was making my decision. I opted in to get the surgery, and as soon as I made the decision, the surgeon came to me and said, "Well, I'm going to let you in on something. I just did the surgery on my wife, and she's your age, and she looks great." I was like immediately relieved. He told me this is becoming more popular for women your age to have them completely removed. And, do I look like I did even a few months ago? No, I don't. I was left with some issues in the right breast because that second surgeon had taken a lot of breast tissue and material. So I'm still sort of in a stage of wondering if there's any kind of reconstruction I can do without having to add another device again, which I would never do. I wanted to share this information, ladies, to let you know what a breast implant journey looks like, feels like, why I opted to do this for my own somatic healing, and what your options are if you've had breast implants or you're thinking about getting breast implants, especially as a young woman. The average age for getting breast implants is between 35 and 50. I just turned 50 and opted to get them out because I know what it's like to have these replaced. And I think a lot of women don't consider this whenever they go under the knife. They don't consider that they're going to have them replaced. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you've had breast implants put in, or if you haven't, if you're thinking about getting them. I would love to know your thoughts on this topic because it is a deeply personal one. It's highly intimate. And I certainly am not here to judge women that want to do this for themselves. If that's something that you want to do, go girl. But if you are somebody that is considering having them removed, I'd love to know why. Have you had breast implant type of any kind of infection or issues afterwards? I'd love to know your thoughts. I would consider this a part 1 video because frankly, I'm not done on this journey yet. I still have to go back to my surgeon whenever I return to the States and talk about what my options are for repairing the right breast. Yeah. This is my booby story, and I'd love to hear yours.
This is the Thriving Scapegoat with Julie Cielo, the space where we blend somatic therapy, shadow work, and cosmic embodiment to break patterns, reclaim your voice, and live unapologetically aligned. Every episode, I'll share tools, personal stories, truth-telling conversations to help you rewrite your past to claim your future, fully aligned in your heart, mind, and gut. Your body remembers, your soul knows, and your time is now.